So I know a lot of people like to kind of, off-put the fact that the Xbox console looks like it's kind of on its last legs, and people refuse to believe it. Now, honestly, they do. They completely continue to ignore the fact that they've only had a few. In the entirety of the 5 years that it's been out, they've only had a few quarters where console hardware grew for them. And there's a lot of excuses, there's a lot of things that people say, there's a lot of different things that people react to that news. They go, oh, well, it's antiquated. It's like they use the buzzwords that Microsoft likes to use a lot, right? Oh, it's antiquated, so who cares? That's my Xbox is everywhere now, everything's an Xbox. But the funny thing is, if the people were actually using these other means to game on Xbox, then I think we would probably know about it, and at the end of the day, we'd probably see something come from it a little bit better anyway, in terms of money that Microsoft makes. So we now know that Xbox hardware continues to tank. Xbox sales have been tanking for a while now, and the story hasn't gotten any brighter as Microsoft released its Q1 2026 earnings, and Xbox hardware revenue was down 29% year over year. Last quarter it was down 22%, down 29% in the first two quarters of 2025, down 42% in Q4 of 2024. So you kind of get the picture of how this goes. Microsoft drastically increased the prices of gaming hardware, with the Series X starting now at 600 bones. Microsoft's response has been to de-emphasize the console and pursue Xbox everywhere strategy. So they're de-emphasizing the console and kind of pursuing Xbox everywhere, yet people still don't believe that Microsoft would 100% exit the hardware business, right? Like, they hate the hardware. Hardware is literally the only thing that's dragging them down. People don't understand that, or people believe something that I don't know what they believe. But anyway, the Xbox's strategy of Xbox everywhere hasn't really led to the big success that they thought. Microsoft would obviously like to see more growth. The company's reportedly been pursuing 30% profit margins with Xbox, leading to layoffs, canceled projects, and more. But the company's outlook for Q2 isn't much better. It expects Xbox hardware to continue to decline, and content and services to continue low to single digit declines as well. Microsoft did see hardware growth from Windows OEM and devices, with revenue increasing a modest 6%. The company reported Surface earnings separately, so it's unclear how those devices are performing. They had been on a steady decline for several years. So the Surfaces have declined so much that they don't even really talk about them anymore, with the main with their main announcements and things like that. So that tells you how bad that is, and they're kind of hiding it or whatever. It's really unfortunate the way that that's happening, because honestly, it's just pretty bad that the way that they're not only just treating the gamer, the average gamer, but the way that this kind of stuff is happening in general. So basically, if you look at it, so here's the Xbox hardware revenue year over year. Quarter 2021, Q2, it grew 86%. Q3 grew 232%. Q4 grew 172%. Q1 of 22, 166%. Those are like banking off of, like, the last time it did good and grew, which was like extensive growth right there, was because that was the year that they released Halo Infinite, Forza Horizon 5, and I think Flight Simulator back to back to back on Xbox to end the year. And so, oh, look at that, you release exclusives, and the hardware grows, and then they have 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 quarters of declining, including 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 in a row, and 7 8 9 10 11 out of 12 of the last quarter is declining. So yeah, it's not looking too good at all. And the interesting thing here is that when you look at what happened also with Xbox content and services, it was flat. So that means that there was no growth, there was no impact percentage on that. So that means that didn't grow, and this doesn't count what's going to happen next quarter, because this isn't counting when they raise the price to Game Pass, right? So that'll be the next one, and then whatever happens there in terms of people leaving or whatever we'll see something happen there. We'll probably see kind of go down anyway. Yeah, so pretty interesting to see that that's kind of happening or whatever. They lost overall $113 million in terms of gaming revenue decreased. The company attributed decline to nearly 30% drop into hardware sales, offset in part in a 0% growth of content and services. Revenue from Xbox's content and services, which included Game Pass subscription service and sales of its first-party studio games, was $5.5 billion for July to September, up 1%, even though it was 0% impact gains. Again, so they're putting all their games everywhere, and they lost $113 million. So, I mean, it just goes to show you, and the losses they attribute solely to the hardware. So what would Microsoft do if they got rid of the hardware? Well, they would get rid of that completely in terms of, being able to have that loss right there. So Xbox hardware revenue decreased quite a lot, driven by low volumes of consoles sold. It's pretty interesting to see how all this is coming along. In the previous reporting quarter, which ran April to June, Xbox sales were down 22%. The next time Microsoft reports earnings, those results should include details for the recently launched ROG Ally and ROG Ally X, but I'm not expecting anything big there because, again, we don't know what they had available, and we don't know exactly what at the end of the day, what they were planning on bringing out in terms of, are they going to have a lot ready? They were kind of claiming, oh, we sold out, but they might have only had, 20,000. So, we'll see. Can the ROG Ally outsell the actual Xbox? That's going to be an interesting kind of thing because the Xbox isn't selling for much of anything. Again, it's really sad to see this kind of stuff happen. I'm a big Xbox fan, and at the end of the day, when we see how the Xbox is trending, how the hardware is trending, it really kind of gets you upset. Like I am. I know people are going to think it's silly to get upset over that stuff, but to me, it's not a good look. It's just not something that I'm happy about. I hope that they decide to go in and make some massive changes to the way that they're handling things, because right now Xbox honestly looks completely dead, and I'm not sure what they can do to kind of change that, to be honest with you, because if you look at, like I said, like what's going around with all this kind of stuff, it's really, really bad. So yeah, it's like it's not, and they're predicting more stuff like that for the next one. So you just look at how these things have kind of come about, and and it's like, hey, this is one of those things that Microsoft is going to have to figure out for themselves. They're not going to have to be able to wait and go, oh well, it's kind of clear that they don't want the consoles. It's a black mark for them, but people refuse to believe it. Like, if you guys understand where I'm coming from this is why I'm so adamant when I'm doing these videos that you guys have to speak up, and honestly, it's exactly why I do what I do. Like, I don't have the biggest voice in the community or anything like that, but I don't see how anybody could cheer on what's going on right now with Xbox. It just really feels like it's not a good sign what's happening. They contradict themselves left and right when they're talking about things. We're not leaving the console space, but whenever they talk about things, they just talk about Windows and the PC side, which makes it extremely easy for them to get out of it, by the way, right? Think about it. They have a console, that cost them money, they got to R&D, they got to make it, or they could just, have a PC that, just like that ROG Ally, very little from them is a risk. So yeah, it's really a sad situation all around. I hope that we see better things in the future and an actual console. I've said this a lot. I'm actually hoping among hope that we see, something positive there from the next Xbox. I would love it to be just another console, like, hey, we have this console. It's more of a traditional console. I would love that. I don't want to see any PC crap in that. So I know I can't be the only one either. Like, I'm sure that there's a lot of people that want to see a more traditional console. You can't possibly want to pay $1,200-$1,400 to continue playing in Microsoft's ecosystem like that. You could have done that already with PCs years ago if you wanted to do that. But You did. I mean, console gamers like consoles for a reason. So I'll link this in the description. How do you guys feel? Their hardware's tanking fast, and it really started to tank after last February's show where they said just 4 games. Let me know what you think. Rack 'em up. Crap Gamer out.